Guys, welcome into episode 111 of the Scope, your FPS news show. BlueTheRobot is ready for anything, including nuclear fallout. He's doing just fine over there with his Yugoslavian gas mask. He's ready to rock. The audio listeners are missing out big time right now because Blue's being like a true stalker right now in real life. He's cosplaying super hardcore.
IRL.
Привет.
Can you talk in that thing?
Yeah, I can talk. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
I give it 20 minutes before it passes out.
Yeah, because
Not
we
gonna
don't.
lie. I was talking a lot before we started, and I had to take a breath before every single sentence now.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure. We can't confirm that oxygen actually makes it into that thing. So we'll see how long he stays conscious, and then we'll know.
This is from 1978.
So you know it's good.
Yeah, he's
that's how you know.
Mint condition, out of the box. It was sealed.
Ready to rock, dude.
I really wonder what the audio listeners are hearing right now in their car.
They're hearing you sound like you're talking in a can or a bucket. But I can assure you, it's a gas mask.
It doesn't sound. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad actually.
It's not terrible.
I'm kind of shocked we can hear him.
You're saying that I could actually fight in this thing.
Yeah, and it's. I will say
maybe.
It definitely sounds way better than most kids' mics in Call of Duty lobbies. Like, so you're ahead of the game.
He's one hit.
Yeah, it's way better.
That was pretty good.
It's way better.
And just remember, guys, this was made in 1978. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster was in 1986. I have yet to test this for any radiation. I don't have a Geiger counter on hand. I will report in about a week's time to see if any hair falls out.
Yeah, I think it'll work fine.
He's running on hopes and dreams right now. If Blue grows like a second evil head by next week, we'll
I'd
maybe
be the best gamer ever.
Think this wasn't a good idea. Yeah, does that have asbestos in there?
Up.
Man, worn out for Blue. Okay. He's back. He's back.
I'm back. It smells like Yugoslavian sweat and tears.
Oh my god! From 1978. Guys,
all right, that's for the podcast visual watchers.
That's good stuff. That's probably our best intro ever.
I gotta watch that back just to hear how I sound.
Yeah, you should. You should. Anyway, guys, I'm Crash, one of your co-hosts, joined by BlueTheRobot and Buffnerd Gaming. How are you guys doing?
Very well, very well. Besides
very good.
I tried to cut my own hair. You can clearly see that did not go well. I had it pictured differently in my mind, but we're rolling with it.
I don't think anybody would have said anything if you hadn't said anything.
It looks like you just got out. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything, but you look like you just got out of boot camp.
Yeah, it looks really terrible. Trust me.
So Blue tried to run interference. He tried to like do a little bait and switch, get people noticing the gas mask so they didn't notice Buff's hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, what happened was this was actually Buff's before he sent it to me, and this is what happens a week later. He starts to lose hair, blames it on a haircut. We're just covering up a big conspiracy theory.
It was a giant plan. It was a big time plan. Conspiracy. Well, we have a huge show today, guys. Like, we had one of those quintessential scope weeks when we talked about stuff. We had a little bit of an idea what's going on, but like the Tuesday and Wednesday after the episode, like everything went to shit. Like everything went crazy. So we have
really is like bad how every week after the show, like then all the crazy news breaks like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's just
we're
like
moving it to Friday.
Yeah, right.
Oh no. I don't know if that would be good. Everybody be doing
No, I enjoy my Fridays.
Yeah. Mondays are better because I hate Mondays and I get through them and then I get to have fun at the end of Monday with this show.
Exactly.
But for other reasons, as far as like when news breaks, it's not ideal. It's not ideal because a lot of stuff happened. EA went completely nuclear with everything. So we have like all that stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of stuff we talked about last week. We got more information on. And then there's some new Battlefield leaks. We got Delta Force stuff to talk about. Gray Zone dropped some more information we can finally talk about. There's some Deadside updates and some other little things to talk about. So there is a lot of stuff going on. But first, as we like to do, I like to kind of ease into it, see what everybody's doing, a little conversation going. Also from everybody in chat too. How was everybody's weekend? And for those of you that are here, that's why chat's on the screen, so you can be part of the show, as well as audio listeners out there. Thank you guys so much. If you have a second, you can leave us a preferably nice review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It allegedly helps us, and it should just make you feel good, helping us out. We love you, and are thankful that you're here. That's nice. Blue, what'd you do this weekend?
Oh man, this weekend, what did I do this weekend? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm slowly getting oxygen back.
Low brain oxygen. Oh no,
I kind of messed up some of the brain cells. No, I actually went to Tampa this weekend, so we drove a lot. I kind of put some miles on the new truck, so we were looking up some hotels, stuff like that. By the way, hotels are such a shady business, man. Holy crap! There's so many fees. Oh, yeah. You know, everyone gets your conspiracy theory hats on. All right. But yeah, it was it was like very interesting to see. But yeah, we're just driving around Tampa. We booked a hotel for my son's birthday weekend, which is nice. So right next to a beach, which is, it looked great, smells amazing. I love the beach. I love hanging out by the water and stuff like that. So but that was pretty much, was it Saturday was, oh my God, what I see. Hold on, oxygen still coming back to me. Give me a second.
Let him go. Let him cook.
It's been very busy. There was a lot. I mean, I was just driving pretty much all weekend. I thought it was gonna be one of those weekends where I can just sit in bed and do nothing. And
Wrong.
Saturday I was all over. Sunday I was driving everywhere. Yeah. So, but other than that, gaming wise, didn't even really get to game. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of cool Helldiver stuff online. Rest in peace, Malevelon Creek. We lost that planet, so we'll get it back.
You have to, right?
But yeah.
Dang. Blue Bird Buff. God damn it, man. We're gonna get through this, guys. Everybody,
many
we're gonna warm up. It's gonna be fine. Buff, what's up, man? How was your weekend?
Good. I played 0 video games. So yeah, I keep like, we might have it on a quick shot, but I tried to get, I had like early access to direct content, but it wouldn't run on my computer. So I was like, you know what? There's nothing to play. So I keep like booting up like DMZ or something, and then I like sit there for a little bit and think about playing it, and then I decide I don't want to play it. So I haven't been playing any games, which is
don't want to sit through that. Yeah, I mean, you didn't miss much with direct contact.
We got to talk about direct contact,
which we will for sure.
Yeah.
And as for DMZ, you know, well, good luck.
Yeah, I haven't been playing. Haven't been playing anything. I'm just kind of enjoying not playing anything. Just kind of waiting for Delta Force and some other stuff. I look to upgrade my PC sometime this year so I can get back into Tarkov too, and then obviously Gray Zone. So yeah, just enjoying the no gaming life right now.
Those breaks are necessary sometimes, and like
really is though.
Especially with COD. Like the COD burnout is just I'm very excited for like other games to come out later this year, so I can, and that's kind of part of the reason I'm gonna upgrade a PC, like build something better. Just because I'm pretty much done with Call of Duty, at least till the next IW title. It's just so exhausting to be a content creator for that game.
Yeah, I think, man, with just how things are shaping up, the direction AAA is going, but kind of like the renaissance with tactical shooters that indie space is having, I think for you and me and Blue, like PC is the place, because you get all those you get all those grittier indie tactical games. And
I did go off on a little bit of a rant as well too on Twitter, just about just like the tactical hardcore indie scene of just nonstop early access, nonstop play tests, games that are in development for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even more now at this point. That I don't know, man. There's some good ones that come out of it for sure. You know, with like Ready or Not, some sleepers. I mean, I would say Ground Branch, but even Ground Branch is taking forever to like fully, envision itself. So I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel the fatigue when it comes to that type of genre of gaming.
Yeah, it's tough.
She as a content creator.
I feel like for those games, if you are going to enjoy them and play them and sink time into them, you're going to have to play several different ones because not any of them standing on their own have a ton of content. And you're also probably going to need, you should probably also learn to play Tarkov because it's got a lot going on with it. You should probably play some Insurgency, rotate in there, ready or not. Like, you're going to have to play a lot of games because there's not one game that has enough content, I feel like, to keep going.
I mean, I even just saw Tarkov Arena is wiping everyone's progression and redoing all of the loadouts.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
that's cool.
Just shooting itself in the foot again. And then they're still having audio issues, people not hearing footsteps. Like, audio cues are like the biggest. You don't have a mini map, so audio cues are like your biggest warning. And when that just doesn't work, and it's been an issue even since the beginning of Tarkov.
Yeah.
So
well, I've heard that with Arena. So to get to kind of keep my my ear to the ground with what's going on with Tarkov, I listen to the podcast with Jesse Kazam and Veritas, and they kind of talk about all that stuff and what's going on. And this last episode that they put out was about Arena and how they wiped it and how it's just so not fun. And I said this in one of my early Arena videos. I said they're going to have to change a lot of stuff because you have weird things like the announcer, you have random stuff with the movement, the healing takes a long time. Like, so many aspects of Tarkov's gunplay and fighting does not fit in a competitive scene. They have
not in a fast-paced close quarters.
They have tons of loadouts with grenades. And what they were saying was, they changed your progression. They put the kits into tier 1s and 2s and stuff like that. And so it said they've played several hundred hours and they're not even a quarter of the way from advancing to the tier 2 kits. They've made the progression in Arena so painstakingly slow that nobody wants to deal with it. They've already had to change where you can't select your own maps. Like, you used to be able to queue for a certain map, but the matchmaking pools getting lower, so they don't allow that anymore. And then there's a few people that have made it into the tier 2 kits and they're only allowing tier 1s and tier 2s to fight each other. So there's so few people that have made it to tier 2 kits. Once they get to tier 2, they're done. They can't play the game.
That's crazy.
And Arena launched in such a weird, the balancing state. I remember when it launched in is so crazy. I mean, but if I were to jump in it, do it as a new player, I'd be happy they were wiping stuff. But if I'm somebody that's been playing it the whole time, I'd definitely be not.
And that's that was a big chunk of the community in general, of those hardcore players that have been playing since, that those are mostly the people that bought Edge of Darkness. So they tried to recreate Contract Wars somewhat, but when you go play Contract Wars, it is such a different feeling game, a lot more fast paced, easy to shoot, easy to heal. I mean, it's not even, I don't even think there's a healing mechanic. I think it's one of those old school, screen goes red, kind of hide in the corner for a bit, you'll heal on your own. So
it's just silly how the stims work, where everybody just stims at the beginning. There's no reason to have them. Just have them active. It's just keystrokes that everybody goes through all of a sudden. I don't know. I was worried about that because I just feel like Tarkov mechanics don't fit in there. I was hopeful for it, but Arena needs to get shit together really quick from what I understand from those sources. Again, I haven't been able to get into it. Actually, this last weekend, I tried to get back into Siege pretty hardcore, and I'm ass. I have to. I took too long a break with Siege, man. I'm gonna have a rough time, and I'm gonna get back into it for year 9. But man, it's crazy. It's crazy what Arena's got going on. And then we look to what's ahead, and Battlefield's feeling a little shaky. We still have X Defiant, which has a long shot to be good, in my opinion. The Division stuff is still exciting. I used to always say right here when I'm talking about upcoming games, I used to say the next Star Wars FPS, and then that's not a thing now.
Oh, jeez.
So
that would hurt. I don't know. We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yep. But Tarkov's in a spot, man. I don't know. They're doing fine money wise, but I just mean like Arena.
Arena, yeah.
All the things I was worried about with Arena happened.
Yeah. But like the core game, I mean, that's one thing I was telling some of my buddies. Like, I've just been watching a lot of Twitch streams, you know, while I'm working of Tarkov, just because I don't know what it is. I think just like the fact that I don't have like something to dedicate time to gaming wise right now. I think like I really do. And I was talking to my buddies who I used to play Tarkov with. Like, I miss that, you know, the heart pounding, like on edge, the stakes are high type gameplay that Tarkov brings. It's very unique. So
there's fun to be had with Tarkov for sure.
There really is, you know, and that's why I want to definitely get a new PC built sometime this year and like jump back in the beginning of one of the wipes and like actually, you know, be able to like do videos on it and stream it, because that game has so much content endlessly, and it's also just really fun to watch, you know, regardless of how it plays. It's still super fun to watch.
Yeah, and you just have to, if you're gonna put, in my opinion, if you're gonna put time into it, you just gotta embrace the suck and have fun where it's at, and just know that you're gonna die to stupid shit like all the time, and just be mentally prepared for that, and then you can have fun at Tarkov. Because sometimes you're on the right side of that, and it's pretty fun.
Exactly, and honestly though, I think it's less frustrating than like Call of Duty or Warzone or something like that. But I mean, I playing with a bunch of buddies like over COVID, like I would have. Like just with the friendly fire and just like, oh, enemy, and like you kill one of your buddies. Like one of our buddies like shot me like 3 games in a row and like grenaded me, just like, you know, completely by accident. But it's just like hilarious. But that's the kind of stuff where like you can't be mad because it's so just outrageously funny. So I mean, it is fun.
Yeah, it is. I hope we get some of those nutty gunfights and stuff in Gray Zone, like just crazy stuff happening, trying to sort it out. So fun.
Right?
I hope so.
Yeah. Bombs go wild. Yeah.
And then, so I mean, not to plug the podcast too much, but the week before's episode was talking about Tarkov, and they're like, dude, they have to do something different with these wipes. And this is why I haven't played in the last 2 wipes. I tried again this wipe because the recoil is awesome. Like you get the guns feel so much better this wipe than last. But I'm just so tired of doing the same quests over and over, man. Like they gotta change them, dude. Like. It's so repetitive. You just know what, a lot of people know what quests are next, know how they're going to play, know how they're going to feel, know what kind of shit you're going to go through. And it gets really tedious. But there's fun to be had if you can find it. That's Jesse Kazayev's such a great creator too, because he plays the game so much and he always stays positive. I admire him about that. And he also finds his own fun. So he kind of makes his own challenges. Like I'm gonna progress, or they was doing like hardcore stuff, trying to get flea market without dying, or only using a certain gun on a certain map, doing like kind of just making up his own challenges and having fun with it, and going off the books and not doing the BSG ones that are poorly designed, in my opinion.
Yeah, repetitive. So
that's pretty cool. But I did play Siege. I got a lot to get back into. Still my favorite shooter, but I gotta get back into it. Get some time into it. It'll come back to me. And then last night I played American Truck Simulator, game of the year. That's the best game there is, and you can't tell me otherwise. I literally drank whiskey and talked about vaccines, religion, and politics like the whole time. So it was great. You should have been there.
That's the best kind of stream.
Just super controversial topics, just going off, man.
I love it.
So funny, dude. So funny. Again, it's not that serious, guys. Relax. Funny stuff, dude. The ATS is so cool. That game, dang it, man. They're always adding to it. They're adding new states all the time, new trucks. Woo.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
A live service, EA. Speaking of EA,
right? boom, let's go.
Speaking of EA, dude, there's a lot to unpack here.
Let's talk about EA.
Yeah,
They're
man.
Our favorite. We love EA.
Yeah. So for the regular listeners, I'll try to frame this up a little bit. Last week we talked about Marcus Leto leaving Ridgeline Studios. We had no other context behind it. Since then, we've got some clarity on that. EA had some layoffs. In the wake of that, they just deleted Leto's studio. Ridgeline is gone. And then, so if you look at what happened, Marcus tweeted, he said, gut punched to see EA lay off my team. So many very talented devs who are incredibly valuable to the Battlefield franchise. So it seems like he didn't know they were going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what you get.
Apparently, I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like, at least, which is questionable, I would say.
So, EA's Laura Miele, our favorite, they said that Ridgeline would be winding down. They had nearly 700 company-wide layoffs. Some staff will move to Ripple Effect, which is working on a future multiplayer experience for Battlefield series. Criterion Games, the studio behind Need for Speed games, will now oversee Battlefield's next single-player project. So, dude, like stopping right here and reacting to this, how much money was wasted on that studio to get nothing out of it, man? Like,
yep,
that's what I was thinking.
Holy dude, like hiring all those people, getting like a storefront, a building in Seattle, which can't be cheap, and hiring all those people and everything that went into having like a brick and mortar studio space to get nothing out of it is just wild, man. Like,
and their goal was the single player story narrative of the universe, right?
Yeah.
To build off of like what 2042 established. So I mean, I was thinking about the same thing. It's like, okay, so they were established what was it, end of 21, right? Early 22. So they lasted like, yeah, okay, so they lasted just around 2 years.
Late 21,
slightly over 2 years, and the narrative. So I don't really know how to take this. I mean, I reposted a tweet that some people misconstrued as me saying like, yeah, it's great people are losing their jobs, which is not at all. When you can read correctly, that's not at all what I was saying. What I was saying is like, this is hopefully good news that they abandoned the story narrative behind the specialist, because it seems like to me when they established a studio, they were going for, okay, we need to really build this universe up more. And if you remember when 2042 was on the way to releasing, they had kind of like a pretty compelling backstory and narrative around the specialist leading into the events of the game that they were posting in their blogs, which I thought was really, really cool. But now with this studio being kind of dissolved, I'm curious if they just I'm hopeful that they just abandoned it. And I think what we heard with the news regarding the next Battlefield, which we'll talk about the next topic, in my mind, hopefully like solidifies that. So I wonder if they just got to a point and we're like, hey, this specialist story stuff really is just going to be us doubling down on something that the community doesn't want, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we do so. So I'm curious if that.
So you see this as a good sign, as like or hopeful.
At least for the narrative story that was established for the 2042 universe. I think historically, though, you look at Battlefield games, they originally all the way up. Bad Company was the very first campaign, or if you look at Battlefield 2 Modern Combat on the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox, they had the first like single player experience, but story wise, the first story was Bad Company, and prior to that, there was never any single player mode released with Battlefield. It was only a multiplayer experience. So, and again, we talked about it last week. Like, I look at Battlefield 3 as being the best campaign, and that was a compelling story that DICE created. I think with they used the folks to do that story from the Dead Space writers. That was a good, compelling story that at the time was competing with Modern Warfare 3. I thought that was the best campaign narrative they had. So I'm curious if they just kind of like looked back. Even with Marcus Leto, I think, remember we talked about last week, he was engaged with the community. What do you guys want? What do you like? What do you not like? I wonder if he looked at the writing on the wall and was just like, yeah, like what we're doing isn't Battlefield. I wonder if he was one of the guys that was just like, hey, this is just doesn't make sense. This isn't for me. You leave it in these hands and I'm going to step away or something like that. And then, maybe they were just like, okay, well, this guy says this, and this. Let's we're going to shut the studio down and allocate our assets where they're actually needed, instead of doubling down on something that could potentially just be catastrophic to the franchise.
Man, I don't know. I get a bad feeling about it. I feel like
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead, Blue.
because looking at Criterion Games' like history too with Battlefield. I mean, they worked a little bit on Battlefield 5.
They made Firestorm.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. I thought Firestorm was great. They just weren't given,
they also helped out with Star Wars Battlefront 2, sadly, before, it got, discontinued pretty much. So.
Generally, the way I understand Criterion, a lot of times when they work into Battlefield is they do Need for Speed, right? They also handle the majority of the vehicles modeling and mechanics. That's what the guy that came on our podcast.
Which makes sense. Oh, the one that you interviewed. I mean, I wasn't there for that, but
yeah, the EA guy.
I remember watching that. Wow, great. Anyways, just looking at his face. Oh no,
Jim Heil.
Jim.
Yeah, got it, guys. Hard drive was spinning. My spinning disc is a 5400 RPM spinning disc in my brain now, and it takes a while to spin up. I had to spin it up. We're okay. Yeah, so Criterion handles Jim. The Criterion handles the vehicle aspects of Battlefield quite a bit. And they did the vast majority of the work on Firestorm. They did Firestorm. So what it sounds like is what I could see happening. On the
story.
Yeah, if I'm going like worst case scenario, I could see Marcus being like, "Hey, I've been engaging with the community, and guys, they don't like specialists." And then EA going, "I don't really care. Apex Legends has specialists. We make a lot of money with Apex Legends. Therefore, Battlefield needs specialists." Marcus is like, "I don't want to do that." And EA's like, "Too bad. You have to do that." And Marcus is like, "Nope, not going to do it. We'll see you later." And then they're like, "Well, if Marcus isn't there, we don't want to fund the studio anymore. Let's just put it back and have Criterion do a half-ass one and close this thing down." And that's I remember what I could see happening.
The only story that I've ever seen Criterion Games ever work on was the story mode somewhat for Need for Speed in 2015. And it was by far like the worst story written, acted, because they tried to do like that live action actors, which sucks because there was actually some pretty good actors in them, just horrible writing. And then they try to mix it with like, you could see CGI of your car in real life, and it was pretty bad. Like there was only two good actors really from what I remember, but the writing was horrible, the direction was horrible. It was probably one of the worst stories for a Need for Speed game. And even now up to then they've been trying to like implement a story into Need for Speed, and they also try to make it super, for lack of better words right now, is diverse. And they focus on that more than the actual story, and even worse, instead of the actual driving portion. Like, so they didn't get either, especially in the latest Need for Speed, in my opinion, they didn't get the driving portion right, and they didn't get the story portion right. They like half-assed both of them and then sent it out and then put, basically the things that make money afterwards, if live service, microtransactions, stuff like that. So that's pretty much their main goal.
So to continue down this path, right? So that's what's up in the Battlefield space. You have, one of the Avengers pillars left. We talked about that last week. We got more information that sounds like it was on his own accord, but didn't know they were going to shut the studio down. They're shifting everything back to where it was. And all that to say, in 2021, EA announced we're all in on the Battlefield franchise, and they had at the bottom of this list, they had like 6 different studios that are working on Battlefield. Well, it's down to the same 3 that always work on Battlefield. It's back to the same shit that it was before. So take that for what it's worth. Everything's back to the way it was. They said they had, like the Gothenburg on there. They had Ripple Effect. They had Ridgeline, several, and they've closed them all down, moved away from all those, except the same. You have Criterion, Ripple Effect, and DICE Sweden. That's it. That's where it's back down to. So, yeah.
Interesting.
we might be getting more of the same. Who knows? Who knows at this point? So to go on further down this path of EA completely blowing things up, on the other end of the spectrum, they canceled the Star Wars FPS that we were just excited about like last week or 2 weeks ago. So sources told VGC that EA has canceled in development Star Wars. Go on to say they put out a statement. Laura Miele confirmed it. Respawn's unique ability to connect with players and create exceptional game experiences is unrivaled in entertainment. As we've looked at Respawn's portfolio over the last few months, what's clear is that our players are most excited about our Jedi and Respawn's rich library of owned brands. Hinting at Titanfall. Knowing this, we have decided to pivot away from our early development on a Star Wars FPS action game to focus on our efforts on new projects based on our own brands, Titanfall, while providing support for existing games. So that thing that we were excited about last week, completely gone. Boom. Then they talked about closing Ridgeline. We already discussed that. So to dissect this just a little bit more, Star Wars game is gone. They want to focus on owned IPs. That makes everybody think Titanfall. Then you hear Laura like, oh shoot, I can't remember. It's probably about this time last year in one of the EA earnings calls. She's like, we know that people still, she essentially said in different words, they know that people want a Titanfall 2. She said, remember the Apex Legends is from the Titanfall universe. I'm ad-libbing a little bit. I'm paraphrasing, excuse me. She said, remember that Titanfall is, or Apex Legends is from the Titanfall universe, and we know there's a lot more to be explored within that universe. So make people think that there could be another Titanfall. And everybody wants a damn Titanfall, man.
Right.
We could talk about the Mandalorian game. Like, there's just so much here. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that kind of came to light today was Jeff Grubb, who's another notorious insider of the likes of Tom Henderson, said that they are not making Titanfall 3. And it pisses me off because Battlefield community has been screaming what they want from a Battlefield game for years. Titanfall fans have wanted another Titanfall game that's not going to release. Titanfall 2 released between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty. Like, there were two insane games, and they had a space Call of Duty, and then they released space Titanfall right in between that and the gaming great that was Battlefield 1. And it didn't do so well, but it's an amazing game, and it's had a huge following ever since. People have loved it.
I mean, it's had huge multiple comebacks over and over again.
Right.
Plenty of times where it regained players.
Yeah. And I don't know who their what would it be, like their PR or marketing team that tries to assess what the market wants, but they're terrible and should find a new job, man.
Yeah.
Everybody wants Titanfall 3. So
because you've had like devs say as well too themselves that have left, say we've talked about it at meetings, we've brought up these ideas and they just fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Last year, Respawn's boss Vince Zampella said a very small team was in the early stages of developing an original IP at the studio. The Skunkworks team was led by Steve Fukuda, the game director of Titanfall and Titanfall 2. And the mission is to find fun in something new. So Grubb suggested on their podcast that there's always a conversation about Titanfall 3. Whenever I do look into it, they're not making Titanfall 3. They just straight up aren't, he said on the subject. They do have another team that's been kicking around a Skunkworks project that is in a very early prototyping. There's different phases of prototyping. There's a very early, very small team prototyping phase, and now they're going into a wider, like this is a real project now, but it's still in the prototyping phase, and it has happened with the game, and it's from the director of the original Titanfall. So this game as it stands, as far as I understand it, is a Titanfall game. It's in the Titanfall universe, but everyone I talk to keeps saying, well, it's not. Don't get your mind that it's Titanfall 3. Like a game with online multiplayer and single player. Like, what? How is this game? And I'm talking about what Jeff Grubb said, who has sources.
Yeah.
So he said, and everyone echoes this sentiment. Jeff Grubb said, he went on to say, but it feels like if you're trying to go all in on your own IP, just expand that into being Titanfall 3. Figure out a way to make that happen. Right. And now me talking is yes, because everybody wants Titanfall 3. Why are you going to try and reinvent the wheel? Why? You know what they're going to do? They're going to try to make some kind of Titanfall Apex Legends cross where they're going to take the Apex Legends and put them into like a full out just arena shooter. they're going to take the Apex Legends and mold them into a Titanfall type game, and it's just going to suck because it's neither going to be Apex Legends or Titanfall 3.
It's going to be like what they did, what they tried to X-defy it,
Yeah, it's going to be some bastardized thing that's nothing, that doesn't do either good, and they're just going to try to make money with it instead of make a good game, and that's just what it's about.
And that's like I was thinking I'm gonna do a parody of this reinvent the wheel thing probably the next couple of weeks from an EA perspective. But yeah, I mean this is their mistake that they just keep making with every title. Instead of doing what works and what the players, your consumers want, right? Read the writing on the wall. This is what your consumers want. What's worked and brought us success in the past, instead of trying to get this one-off lucky in the bag hit that's everyone's gonna just go crazy over, and they're gonna make so much money with microtransactions. They're focused on this capturing magic in a bottle instead of creating a good quality product that the consumers want and will be excited to play and pay for support and think. So they're just they're throwing shit against the wall and trying to see what sticks, and they just keep failing and failing and failing. So it's really frustrating to read this because it's so obvious. Just do Titanfall 3.
That's it.
But no, they've got to be like, well, we can, this is what people like about Titanfall, and then we have Apex and Call of Duty's doing this with zombies, so we can make a zombie Apex Titanfall crossover with a live service. And it's just they're all like, oh yeah, let me kiss your ass, great idea, Bill, that's amazing, and then it fucking flops. It's just ridiculous. They had too many yes men inclusive bullshit, and not people who know what the hell's going on in reality out there, because they just keep failing and failing and failing. And it's I mean, I'm just sitting back and watching this shit show unfold, because they're gonna keep doing it, and then these games that we're talking about right now, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, are all gonna be canned because they keep doing this crap.
Yo, Woo, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. Super kind of you, dude. Thank you.
Thank you, Boo.
Man, yeah. So essentially, in a nutshell, you have Respawn. So EA shut down Battlefield, or shut down Ridgeline, and then they took Respawn off of a Star Wars FPS and are gonna make them make a Titanfall universe game that's not Titanfall 3. Like that's in a nutshell, and that's
guys,
incredible.
Maybe it's called Titanfall Infinite.
Stop it.
Zombie.
It's not even funny, Blue.
Add zombie warfare on the end of that.
It's not even funny.
Our favorite surprise boxes, right?
We know it's gonna
want surprise boxes.
It's gonna have a robust and engaging live experience. I'll tell you that.
I mean, they said it about Battlefield 2042, and I think they are right. It was the greatest live service we've ever seen in gaming. 2 maps every 8 months is
fire. I'm so engaged.
They need to calm down. I mean, with stuff like that, it's just they're gonna just be blowing. They're gonna just put Call of Duty out of business. Crazy.
Yeah. So they did can another Titanfall game called Titanfall Legends last February, and what's a little bit foreboding is at the end of it, he said the thinking there was that more people have played Apex Legends than have ever heard of Titanfall. So they're really going to lean into that. They want to lean more into Apex Legends than Titanfall. And I just think that's so misguided, dude. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
it's really bad. Again, this is not to get like all, crazy here, but this is like very reminiscent of the only thing I can think of here is like the Bud Light situation. Anheuser-Busch, like 2 years ago, is they were basically they were like, this is our demographic, like screw our demographic, we're gonna do this, and why not make our product for people that have no interest in our product. That's kind of what it seems like is happening here, and that's like the best comparison I can think of at the top of my head.
I just think that they're going like I think they're overcomplicating it. There's probably some kind of algorithm thing or model or something that says that this certain game will make more money because it ties into Apex Legends, and they have like millions of people playing Apex Legends, so it's got to tie into that.
I mean, you still have over 100,000 players. I think like a month, even more for sure. I think just looking at the Apex Legends Steam charts, just on the 24-hour peak, 424,000 players have played Apex Legends, and that's just on PC.
Yeah, Apex Legends is going crazy. That's just on Steam. So you can also play Apex off the EA launcher and all consoles too. So there's a metric shitload
on Switch as well too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Unironically,
the money's there.
I feel
that's why money talks, man.
And unironically, I feel like Titanfall gave birth to Apex Legends, and Apex Legends is going to kill Titanfall. Like, I think that's how it is. There's just they can't let go. They can't try something different. They can't try to veer from Apex Legends. It works, so they have to beat it.
Well, that's also the only thing that they've done in the past how many years that's worked. So they're like, oh, we got one success story out of all of this. Then everything needs to be just just like that.
Yeah, they're just gonna beat it.
Like they don't know what made their titles successful and what brought fan bases to those games. And then they have something like this, it feels like they probably didn't even expect it to be that big. And then they're like, oh my God, well, this is the one thing we've done in 8 years that actually is popular, and we have the analytical data to prove it. So we'll just model everything after this.
Yep.
That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, it's more questionable decision making that makes me not as excited for the next Battlefield. Like, what are they going to do?
I'm fully expecting a complete disaster for sure.
I am now.
I mean, I'm also thinking in terms of just like the demographic that they sell to nowadays. It's not us. It's not the people that grew up playing Titanfall. I mean, Titanfall 2 released by October 8 years ago. At that point, the first Titanfall was even older than that. So over a decade for sure. So I mean, the demographic nowadays, they are the Fortnite crowd. They are the ones that love the skins and love buying skins and love the monetization model, because they never, and it's not their fault, but a lot of these players nowadays never saw gaming before this live service. Right. They never grew up with that. So
yeah, and
they're used to it, and EA knows it. So does any other AAA company nowadays. That's why they're going to milk it to death.
That's straight up it. So all these decisions are made on 100% financial viability and nothing else. So whatever they did, so taking the hit, closing Ridgeline, moving that to Criterion, whatever they have, getting rid of Star Wars, moving into this non-Titanfall game, that all is like calculated by models and data to squeeze the most pennies out of people. Because you listen to those earnings calls, like, we made a few more cents per share this, and they have to keep increasing that, or they lose their ass. So all those hits they take, they're just trying to make everything. And we're seeing these cuts all across the industry, right? Like there must have been some overhiring, a little bit of bloat coming out of COVID and stuff like that. And all these companies are trying to slim down and get more and more efficient, and it's just going to hurt. It's going to hurt for a while. I don't know when it'll get better, but with EA, you can just expect games to continue to be made with money in mind. Any AAA anymore is just going to be based off money and not really necessarily making good games or what the core community wants.
We've also talked about it here on the channel is the premium services, right? Just using Battlefield as an example. I think Battlefield Premium back for 3 and 4 was, you paid $50, $60 for the game, and then Premium was $40 on top of that, and you get all access. That would include all of the DLC, map packs, everything like that. Think about now the live service model, right? You sell 2 store bundles, you've exceeded what a premium would cost for one user. So all you got to say is, okay, if every one player buys, if we can make 2 bundles that will appeal to that user, we're ultimately going to make more money than we ever have on a game previously with the old model. So it kind of makes going back to an old premium type model, I guess, not viable anymore, which
it's gone.
is kind of unfortunate because you could include the premium model and have store monetization at the same time as optional. I think we're going to see a shift in gaming here where, again, but a lot of players are looking for quality over being pushed products. And I think Call of Duty is a good example right now. Just we're seeing them release like Warhammer bundles.
Yeah.
Warhammer is a separate product, a separate game. And then instead of releasing their own content that they created for this new trilogy and marketed, they're releasing other games content in their game. It just, and again, that's all okay. This is the crazy stuff that's gonna drive the most financially and analytically is proven to sell the most. So we just need to push that and only that. That way we can continue to make $8 billion a year and not provide any sort of anti-cheat or support for anything.
Right.
So, exactly what you said, Grass. The money talks. It just seems like we're in a gaming, and we're in a time in gaming where the AAA space seems to be just looking, very greedy, just looking at money. They're making all that money, but what are they doing with that money, right? I think the CEOs are getting big fat bonuses, things like that. We as the gamers aren't seeing the fruits of that labor, right? We're not seeing that with the next title. We're seeing half-baked stuff. So we're gonna hit probably. I'm thinking we're gonna hit like a breaking point here in the next couple of years, and things are gonna kind of tip back to an old school way for a while, hopefully. But we'll see.
I don't know. I'm not holding my breath, just because like Blue was saying, like there's just the skin economies now. So in the middle of all that, so Leto left. Everyone's like, oh no, Battlefield's dead. Then there was these Battlefield leaks that we'll talk about now. And then we had all the extra stuff with what we just talked about with the Star Wars getting canceled, the non-Titanfall game that's going to piss everybody off. So we got some leaks on the new Battlefield, allegedly from Tom Henderson. Trying to see what we're talking about here. So he talks about, I'm looking at the article to make sure I get the right stuff. So Insider Gaming has also learned the next Battlefield title is taking somewhat of a back to its roots approach. Whoa, who thought that was a good idea? Literally everyone. With the likes of 64-player matches, return to its 4-class system, and an overhaul to its destruction systems. We've heard that every installment. As for the game setting itself, it will be set in the modern day somewhere around 2025 to 2030, with a strong story-driven emphasis on modern technology used in war. Wait, 2025 and 2030, we could get origin stories for the specialist, Buff. Look at that.
Man, I better see drones dropping bombs on people.
Yeah. The Ripple Effect, the studio that's working on the new experience for Battlefield franchise, is working on a new battle royale. Many of us expected this. The vast majority of people who pay attention have expected this. It's currently aimed to be free to play and follow similar strategy. Highly successful Call of Duty Warzone that will see a free to play experience tie in with premium release. This game is said to be the brainchild of Byron Bede, who has been previously leading live services for Call of Duty. Currently, the game has 2 different game modes, including the classic Battle Royale experience and a mode named Gauntlet, which will see teams of players compete in objective-based modes with the lowest scoring team kicked out after each mission. So that sounds like that mode, that King of the Hill mode that they had in Call of Duty Vanguard. That's where Byron Bede came from. Wow. Old dog, same tricks. This, minus the 64-player stuff, sounds exactly like the leaks we got before 2042. Literally everyone thought Hazard Zone was going to be an extraction royale and going to be free to play.
Free to play, yeah.
Everyone thought that. A lot of people thought Firestorm. So far, maybe they'll finally do it, but we've heard this a lot with the last couple Battlefield titles that it's going to have a free to play mode. And there was leaks from Tom that said Hazard Zone was going to be free to play. So
yeah, I remember that. And it was, as you were reading this, I was thinking the same thing. We've heard this before. So, how much I honestly, this sounds great, but it sounds like lip service, and I'm not gonna believe anything until the game comes out and I see reviews.
Right. So we've heard this stuff. If they are doing this, that sounds good. 64 players, great. 4 class systems, great. If it doesn't have a server browser and only releases with 4 maps, you know, that'll kind of suck. Trying to get into battle royale sounds good. That could be another time we'll have destruction in a battle royale if they can get it right. I've always said this, even before Firestorm, that Call of Duty, or Jesus Christ, that's what I was reading. Sorry, that Battlefield and the Frostbite engine is perfect for battle royales with the destruction and the large player counts and how good it looks. So,
and we just talked about this last week with the What's on X with Ender's video, right? And
yeah, it was perfect timing. Yeah,
right after. Yeah, so yeah, I mean but again, it just in my mind, it just sounds like lip service. Like it sounds, yeah,
it is. They haven't.
Yeah, you don't know.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, right. And who knows who's Tom? Who are the sources that Tom is getting this information from? How reputable they are, whatever. And plus, it's so early on, things pivot. Right? We heard the same thing in 2042. Like it was supposed to be a battle royale, and then they decided, X and Y. But the thing is, like the EA, that whatever that woman's name is, like came out and said the game was ahead of schedule, the furthest along than any Battlefield game.
It's Laura Miele, the same lady we've been talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, when they say stuff like that and just blatantly lie to our faces, even if he does have a source that's like in the know on the development, they 3 months down the road, they could be like, oh my God, we gotta make a dinosaur riding game instead. The Battlefield Dinosaur Riders or Medieval Battlefield is what we decided this game should.
Yeah.
So who knows? It all sounds great, but we'll have to see.
Yep.
I've been waiting for dinosaurs from Battlefield for like the longest time.
Yeah, it's been the tease for a while. Oh, again.
You're back. It was a little sketchy. Yeah. So Delta Force update. We're on time. We're good on time. Yeah, so there's a new trailer from Delta Force. I'll get that pulled up. Buff's been following this a little closer than I have. I watched Buff's video about it. What are you seeing from this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, and I talked about it a little bit last week, and we'll get into the Gray Zone update next too. But I mean, I know for a fact Gray Zone's not going to run on my rig, so I'm not going to be able to play it anytime soon. That's for sure. So for me, looking at this with Delta Force, this is what I'm most excited for sure, just because it's basically like a slightly more arcadey version of Tarkov, but it's available free to play and it's on all platforms. So you have all the console players for years. Like, is Tarkov coming to console? Is Tarkov coming to console? This is the closest I think you're going to get, and it's also going to prove that Tarkov or in Tarkov-esque games with that type of inventory system can come to console. So what we're seeing with this trailer is the Zero Dam trailer. This is their new map that's going to be available here for the second playtest that they just started kicking off. They just had an event, a LAN playtest event in China over the weekend, and they're bringing the one to Los Angeles here in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So this is the new map we're going to be seeing the gameplay of, Zero Dam, and this is the extraction mode, hazard operations. So I mean, you see a lot of stuff here. You can tell some things, like a couple of the animations I noticed were not finished or finalized for some of the weapon reloads, but you can see a lot here as far as in-game features, right? You have like environment interactions. There's like an alligator there that interacts with
alligator.
Yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. Will that have a huge impact on the gameplay? Probably not, but what other type of environment interactions are there going to be?
I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Plus, like, what if they have talked about like an anti-cheat? Like, what if they pick up a cheater in game or a suspect, and they just like, okay, you get like surrounded by crocodiles and killed, like that's and then you get banned, stuff like that. But there's a lot with this. You see a lot here as far as in-game features. Like, there's point shooting. there's IR lasers that only your team can see with your nods and stuff. So there's going to be nighttime versions of these maps for sure. That's confirmed via their website and the blog post. We see leaning mechanics, door kicking mechanics. You also see a little bit of the specialist features, but I did read some of their blog posts that I'll cover in another video on this, and the abilities that the operators themselves have are not overpowered whatsoever. They may
they look very tamed.
Yeah, they're very tamed, and what they do, the description of them I've read on the blog post is nothing crazy whatsoever. It's like, hey, this person has this ability for the bow. Like the bow is a recon bow, which wherever you shoot it, you'll get a very temporary like UAV along the path that you shot it. So it's not this crazy
like
special ability. Yeah, it's not like Battlefield at all. It's much more tamed. But again, you're seeing a lot here with this mode is the AI. They've added for the second upcoming playtest, they've added 16 new weapons, 60 new attachments, and you see like the customization is crazy. So you can pick out some of the new weapons, like you see the PKM, things like that, but the customization on the weapons itself is Tarkov level, 100%. And I've seen a lot of it
to the point where you're changing out like gas tubes or
I don't know about
upper lowers.
I don't know about gas tubes, but
you're taking. What about like the blacksmith from Call of Duty? You see something more along?
No, it's
sides of that.
It's way more advanced than
really.
Than
okay,
Call of Duty
I'm actually surprised. Then
it's essentially Tarkov level. From what I've seen,
I see you have like on
Tarkov.
there. I could see like the canted sights as well too, so you can have like your main optic as well as like an RMR canted as well too. So the one thing I'm curious that I'm probably wondering as well too. I don't know if you've seen any gameplay because like
I have
in trailers. So, but like in trailers, they always show of like without the HUD for like a cinematic experience. What does it look like with the actual HUD on? Is there a HUD experience? Is it very minimal?
So the HUD that I've seen through the playtest is on. It's not super cluttered. It's very similar to like a DMZ, I guess. You have yourself and your teammates and the corner. You have I don't even know if there's a mini map or a map. That may be something you need to pull up on your screen. And you have your weapon, what your weapon is, and your ammo situation in the bottom right. So it's nothing crazy. They're not reinventing the wheel, but it's also not very cluttered, which is nice. So what I'm seeing is it looks to me very similar to DMZ, especially like HUD wise, but the whole backpack inventory system, the stash system, the in-game currency, how you purchase your weapon attachments, your different vests, your different helmets, your different gear is all basically a 1-for-1 of Tarkov, essentially, put into this experience. So I think people are going to be surprised. This is, you're basically taking a mix of Tarkov and like an arcade extraction type experience with DMZ, but there's sliding in this and things like that, but it's nothing crazy. So this in my mind is what I wanted from DMZ. And they also there was a mobile shooter, I think, by the same company. We talked about it last year. It was that they had that crazy trailer that was like really Tarkov-esque, and then we found out it was just for mobile, right?
Arena Breakout was by these people.
Yes,
Arena Breakout.
Breakout. So that was a mobile only title, and it was more slow paced, methodical. This kind of blends again that type of game, because that was basically like a mobile Tarkov, right? So this the way that you're seeing here blends the Tarkov elements with a little bit more arcadey type gameplay, but it's also not over the top, where you're slide canceling or that stuff. A lot of the movement is much slower. Again, it's just like a more accessible version of Tarkov is kind of how I see it. And I've seen probably in total of just straight raw gameplay around 6 to 8 hours of straight gameplay of the various modes. And yeah, it looks great, especially with the customization. You can pick where you want your different rails. You can put rail covers on. You can choose
Wow.
where those rails are going to go, where your pec goes, where your light goes. You can do the Tarkov meme stuff and put like 3 different pecs on. So you have like a tri-laser going, things like that. You can do crazy stuff. So I'm really excited for this. I think this game has the most potential for, I think, a console experience, but it's also available on every platform, and it's free to play. And you know, when we compare it, there's an extraction mode with this versus Gray Zone, which we're going to talk about. You know, we really my thing with Gray Zone is I'm excited for it, but we also haven't seen gameplay, and I've seen a
raw
lot
gameplay,
of I've seen a lot of raw gameplay for this game, and everything about it is, you know, there's nothing that I'm worried about thus far. I think everything's looking really, really good. And this trailer itself for the new map, I wouldn't even call it a trailer. It is more scripted gameplay, but it's showing off a lot of features.
but it's still gameplay,
yeah. And I broke down those features in the video that I did recently. But yeah, this is gameplay. And the game looks just like what you're seeing. This is raw. This is basically raw gameplay.
It looks
just
good
a little
too.
bit more scripted. Yeah, the game looks amazing. And in the gameplay that I've seen, it looks beautiful. So it looks far better than Call of Duty, far better than Battlefield. Like, the game looks gorgeous. So if they can nail this, you know, this could be like the
what
AAA
engine is this running on?
I'm not sure. They haven't, at least I haven't seen it in their blog post yet. But I mean, that was my question too, because it looks it looks gorgeous, whatever engine it is. And what they're doing with ballistics and things like that also is just stuff that you don't see on the AAA engines these days at all.
So I get a little bit triggered watching this stuff. It looks a little 2042-y to me, like just the lighting and some of the maps and like the color scheme is the same. Yep. So I get like a little bit of PTSD, but then I keep telling myself, I can't really bitch about it. It's free. I can try it, get my own opinion. If it's not for me, I'll move on. It's not like they're trying to get money out of me, you know? And
it is free to play, exactly.
But we do, so some of the things, like, to step it back, some of the things we do need to worry about, though, being free to play and being mobile from Tencent, the pay to win stuff might be a little crazy. We got to watch out for like how they do microtransactions.
It could be,
I think, but
it could be for sure. But I know they're also, you know, it's not primarily a mobile game, but they emphasize in their most recent devlog, number 2, is like, it's developed mainly for, their primary focus is PC and console, but they also want to make it an accessible experience on mobile also. So like, they haven't really shown the mobile gameplay yet because they said it's not really up to par where they want it. But I don't want people to think that this is a mobile game that's being ported, because that's not
right.
The case.
I remember that
point to say, it was developed individually for each platform.
Yeah, I was worried about that,
with the cross-play in mind. So you're not getting like a mobile port or a PC port or anything like that. Which is really cool. And yeah, like you said, it's free. But I will say also from the gameplay, I know the concerns with the lighting and the color and stuff like that, kind of giving people PTSD for Battlefield. The gameplay, you know, it doesn't, in my mind at least, it doesn't really look Battlefield-esque when you look at the raw gameplay. It looks just like it looks like a good mix of lighting. Plus, we've only seen the daytime colorful maps, I guess, with the lush environments. You know, there's going to be night versions of these maps. There's going to be nods, things like that. Maybe there'll be storms. So this is definitely my number 1 anticipated game. I'm kind of hoping this comes out. I mean, it's going to be out sometime this year. I'm hoping it's not, like you said, kind of just like a throw against the wall flop type thing. I would like this to be kind of the focus of my channel for a while, because I think it has pretty much everything that my channel focuses on. But it does look a lot of fun. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think what we're seeing, the consistent updates, right? They're communicating with the community at least, and that's something you don't really see from a lot of AAA studios either.
Yep. So the next thing, that's why the blood is green, because you can't show red blood in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why PUBG and stuff has that where you can turn on the mode to have like green blood or whatever.
Oh wow!
On default over there is green blood, but you can change it as well too.
Wow, lizard people! I didn't know that.
Yep. So we did get a Gray Zone update. Many of us made videos on it. We got a ballistics update. And I am in total agreement with chat. We're to the point where we really need to see gameplay from this, from this game, because I think there's a delicate balance between talking about your game, communicating what's in it, and then showing it to people. And I feel like we've gotten so many details and really cool details about the gameplay that it's almost getting to where like everybody's like, okay, let's see some gameplay at this point. Because I almost think it would be better to maybe show gameplay and then talk about the ballistics. Because like you can show people probably didn't notice that, and then go over the ballistics. All that to say, if the ballistics work out, then it's sick. Like,
yeah,
you gotta admit, like some of the stuff that they're doing in here is crazy, man. They're talking about different bullets, how they mushroom, how they tumble. Their simulation is taking that into account. If it passes through wood before it gets to you, it expands and tumbles. They're talking about the bullet coming apart in different fragments, the copper separating from the lead core. They're talking about ricochets off different surfaces and different angles of attack, ricocheting off water. Like playing all that stuff is really, really, really crazy. Yeah. So,
and it just goes to show their attention to detail, right? I mean, we've talked about this with other games, how we wish this was something they incorporated. Like, it's not like this data is not out there for the ballistics, right? Like this data is readily available. So that they took the time to look at it, review it, and say, how can we incorporate this in the game so it makes, so we don't run into like a Call of Duty situation where you have like a nail from a nail gun doing more damage than a 12.7 by 55 caliber CQC round, right? So at least I really appreciate the attention to detail here. They're using their resources and taking advantage of the data that's out there to make a grounded experience, which makes sense, right? You would expect, I think everything they showed in the video, and you also in your video, Crash, did some good stuff at the range there to show off everything. And like, again, it makes sense. It's what you would expect to see. So, and you see channels like Garand Thumb and others doing the ballistic gel tests. So this data is out there. It definitely is good that they're incorporating it into the game. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, and it was crazy that they actually modeled ballistics gel in the game, and I hope they put it in the game in a test range area.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, they even talked to Jonathan Ferguson from the Royal Armories, the guy who's seen on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that, all kinds of crazy stuff.
GameStop, I think he does a lot of stuff for them, or game.
So he does. I mean, he lives in an armory, and that's where he works at, pretty much. So he's all around guns all the time. So he's telling them how they shoot, how they interact with each other, different types of gas that comes out, like everything about it is there. But I'm also the same boat. They said Q1 of this year. Q1 ends the end of March of 2024. So we only have the rest of this month for them to apparently come out with their early access. And in my opinion, from what I've seen, and I'm glad they're showing this off and stuff like that, I think they might. I have a feeling, and I hope maybe I'm wrong, but they might delay. And to be honest, I wouldn't hold it against them either. I think they should, in my opinion. I don't know if it's ready for early access, but this is also like, I can't say too much either, because I know a lot of us are in the same boat where we've seen things and we can't say too much, which also kind of sucks, just being a content creator and being a podcaster, because like,
dude, we've seen some shit.
I understand. We've seen some great stuff, but we just can't talk about it. But the rest of the audience doesn't know that. And the rest of the audience, I can feel it starting to turn against Gray Zone, where it's like, okay, you're showing all these cool mechanics. I appreciate it. But I mean, there, especially in today's indie developer space, and I hate to bring it up again, but ever since the day before, a lot of people are sick and tired of seeing mechanics, and they just want to see raw gameplay. And again, we just can't say much because we're our tongues are tied. We signed NDAs, we signed paperwork, we can't say shit. So it's to that point where people want to see gameplay, and I totally agree. And again, they said Q1. we were thinking by February at the latest, but and that's another discussion. I feel like that's for another day of just like how long do we wait for early access games? Because okay, this game comes out early access March 31st. Let's say they meet the deadline at the cutoff for Q1, so they can say they did it. How long is that game in its early access mode, still getting continuous updates over and over again?
Dude,
and I'm curious, and especially for like there's so much that they pack into such a small time frame that I'm just worried that the longevity of this game isn't going to last as much as people hope. As much as people hope. Yeah,
dude, there are so many forces at play here. You have them showing off cool stuff. It gives a bad vibe because we've had direct contact. We've had the day before. We've had people try to show stuff and hype up games and take a one-cut Steam paycheck. While I don't believe these guys are doing that, you can't fault the public for thinking that it's a possibility because it's happened so many times. So you have them like, this is how Gray Zone wants to reveal their game. They want to show you these really neat things. They obviously have it planned out how they want to show, but they're getting compared to these other games who have done a similar thing and not delivered. That's just how it is. And so they're trying to balance that. When do they show gameplay? Then do they delay it? So then they have to weigh what's worse. Do we delay it? And the stuff is going to heighten. This isn't a real game. This is another day before. When they delay it, that's going to happen. Is that more harsh, or releasing it early before they should? Is that more damaging? So they have to weigh that. Then on top of that, you have to weigh what I think, and you have people like based on these little tidbits building this game in their head before they see it. It was said in chat. Whoever said it was spot on, because that it's you're building it up in your head and it's not what it actually is. So then people have these misconceptions of what this game is going to be, and then could be let down by gameplay. Then on top of that, when this game does release, a whole nother thing to think about is it's going, whether we want it to or not, it's going to get compared to Tarkov. When Tarkov was in its alpha state, it had like 3 traders and factory. That's it. There was hardly anything in that game, and it was just one little tiny map factory. This is going to release with a lot more content than Tarkov did at first, but this game is going to get compared to Tarkov, who's been in development for like 10 years. Exactly. And people are going to say, that
if you do, then if you don't.
It's a tough spot
right now.
It's a tough spot.
I feel it.
I also I mean, I don't know what you guys have seen, but I had the flu that week, and I missed the developer. I got the invite by Rick to sit in on the briefing. I missed all that. I didn't watch the replay. I haven't signed anything. So
you can check. I think
he said the recording's available, so I'll reach out to him. But me personally, I haven't signed anything, and I haven't seen any gameplay whatsoever. So I can speak. I don't know if you guys have. We haven't talked about it, but I can speak from the perspective that chat's looking at it is, and that was kind of my thought. I wasn't checking my emails because I was feeling like dog shit all that week. So when you guys started putting these videos out, I was like, man, did I get emails for this stuff? I didn't even, and that was the same day the Delta Force stuff came out. So I opted to go with the Delta Force stuff just because by the time I reviewed all this and looked at it, I was like, okay, there's ballistic stuff here, which is good, but there's no gameplay. And so at this point, you're talking about it. I think it, like you said, they're at the point where I want to see gameplay, or I don't really want to see too much more. I think what they're showing here with the ballistics is great, but I was really expecting gameplay, especially because we keep hearing there's big stuff coming with the next release, the next devlog, and then we all want to see gameplay. So I think the sooner the better, but also like you said, if it's not ready to show, and I also do think this game gained a lot bigger of a following than they were anticipating. I think with that original trailer and things blew up the way it did, I think they were kind of taken aback, like, oh crap.
Really good trailer.
Yeah. And especially I think that goes to show how hungry the FPS market is for more grounded, realistic games like this. There's a huge market for it if you can nail it. So like you said, I'd rather they take their time and get it right and delay if they have to. But I don't think they can really show the ballistic stuff was great to see, but after that, I don't really know what else they could possibly show us that would really be intriguing besides gameplay. I think next step has to be gameplay. So whether or not that happens sooner or later, but I just don't know what else they can show us. We've read about the traders, we've read about the lore and all that stuff, and now we see this, which is all great to see, but we definitely are at the point where we need game.
Yeah, and shout out to the creators that have actually made videos on pretty much every single update that's come out. Crash, what was it? Shadeless as well too.
Rilo.
Rilo. I was trying to think of his name. Yeah, Rilo. I mean, everyone that has been like consistently updating the community. I appreciate you guys. And as for me, and then the same thing with you, Buff. It's like, do I choose to talk about a game that still hasn't had gameplay come out, or do I talk about a game that does have gameplay out and I can talk about it more, and I'm not under some kind of legal jurisdiction that I can't talk about certain things? So it's just, I told Rick that. I love you, Rick. You're amazing. God bless you, dude. But I'm like, I told him the same thing. Like, I don't want to make a video about this right now until I have hands-on gameplay that I can show my community, because
I think a lot
I talk about, especially as like a stalker fan, they keep bringing up Roadside Picnic, and I'm like, heck yeah, I could finally get behind this even more now. But I'm just like, I don't have much to really work with. So I mean, that's also because people are very creative, but it's just I need to show gameplay because of the past games.
You need something to actually talk about, right? You need tangible stuff to talk about to give your opinion. I think at this point, and that's kind of I ran on the same kind of issue that you just described, was, do I do a video on this, or do I pull from all of the Delta Force stuff that I can pull? Because the Delta Force stuff, there's so much there that I haven't even talked about in the videos. But like, there's a lot of information and a lot they've shown, so much gameplay, so many features, gunsmith, customizations, everything. So with this, it's the same thing. It's like, do I make a video on small amounts of information that a very niche part of my community will actually care about, or do I show tangible stuff from a different game that people can actually react to, right? I think that's where we're at.
This stuff from Gray Zone fits into my channel because it fits perfectly into my video type, and this is like my channel grew in Battlefield, talking about
consistent news,
little stuff. So
which is great.
My videos are like,
they're doing it.
Yeah, my videos are like, this is what we can see, this is what I hope to see, and let's kind of see how it plays out. And I think my audience understands that this game could come out and be pretty rough, or it could be awesome, but we're here for the ride and we're talking about it, because I'm that way with new games. When there's something I'm excited about, if there's something I want to hear about all of it, like I just want to immerse myself in it. So that's kind of what I've done. If this kind of content fits into my channel, it doesn't really fit into either one of your guys' channels until it releases. So I totally get get that.
Yeah, I think if I had if we had more to see, yeah, exactly. I also think for like you just said, Crash, this fits your model. I think for Blue's models and my models, like for me, for Blue, it's Stalker right now mainly, and for me, it's like Delta Forces. Exactly what I need, right? So
when I finally get to show gameplay. Yeah, it's gonna be so fucking cinematic, dude. Like,
see, that's where we're at, right? Like, I like to do like the news, conversational stuff, cover everything, and then Buff, when the game actually comes out, you can make awesome gun content, gun guides, gun builds, like talk about the history of the weapons. Blue makes like cinematic and story driven
because I need a new computer.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, that's just like our different styles of content work with different aspects of the game, and like Blue can make like cinematic storytelling type stuff, and yeah, man.
That's why it's great. You'll have different creators that the content that's being released like this 100% fits their channel and what they do and what the audience wants. And then there's other creators like myself and maybe Blue, where it's like, okay, I really need more to go on to really talk about and add my flair.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be diving deep into those side quests and the quests and the stories, and that's what I want to do, but I gotta wait. So, man,
I wish I could talk about. Wish we could talk about what we've seen.
I know, freaking embargoes, man. I love and hate that.
Yeah, it's not great.
Sorry, chat. Sorry, viewers, audience, listeners.
I think it sounds like they're kind of making the next thing raw gameplay what it sounded like at the end of their press releases.
I mean, they did put out a poll, I believe, and the next thing people wanted to see was the raw gameplay. So
yeah, I think that's what's coming
they've
next.
listened to the polls before. So
just to be like devil's advocate, though, every time they make an announcement about the next big release or whatever, you kind of get the feeling it's going to be gameplay, and then it's not. So just not trying to be like a negative Nancy.
Oh, no, I get it.
Devil's advocate.
How dare you, Buff?
Yeah, you're not hurting my feelings. I get it. I get it, man. So yeah, all of that to say, Gray Zone, if it works, the ballistics model and simulation is insane. Because also,
you got to say our motto.
On top, it has potential.
I was just looking at that too. Yeah,
we'll keep an eye on it. And also, like those wound channels and cavities in the ballistic shell are supposed to interact with your body and different organs. And we got to see like a body scan if it hits bone or if it affects different organs and stuff. So super cool. If we ever get to play it.
I was a little bummed they didn't show like a 7.62 by 51 or 39 round though. I kind of wanted to see.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's making some people take a step back, and I'm a little bit wondering about. There's only going to be 8 guns in early access, 8 guns total. So that's a little bit of a bummer.
Oh really? Okay, I didn't see if there was a weapon list or anything yet.
They said in the log in the release that there's only 8 weapons. So that's a little, but. Hopefully they're adding stuff. They talked about what I really liked what they did do for all the shortcomings that we've mentioned and wanting to see gameplay and stuff. I thought the video I made before this one was really cool where they said they communicated straight up, because there's been a lot of shit floating around about this game, a lot of details and stuff. They said, here's where we're starting. This is what we want for early access. And then these are the features that we want in 1.0 when it releases. So they kind of set a starting point and an end point. I thought that was cool. Now, we don't know how long it's going to take to get there. That could be a whole different can of worms. But the fact that they said, here's what we wanted early access, and here's the features that we're going to be working towards. I really like that. Just setting it, putting it all out there. This is where we're at. This is where we're going. I like that a lot. Yeah.
And I think it's important they reinforce that, right? You don't want people, your average viewer, interested in like what's this new game. You don't want the general audience expecting too much too soon.
I think it's
important they laid that out.
And I think that that news release went a little bit under the radar because it wasn't as exciting or whatever, but I think it was really important.
Yeah, so they definitely want to reinforce that for sure.
My mouse was gone for a little while. It's back now.
That's I can just see 8 weapons because like I didn't know that, right? And I get the information too, so I can just see people expecting so much, and then like, oh my god, it only has 8 weapons early, and just
I'm expecting though, like you can take those weapons though, and imagine it's like, oh, it's just an AK, yeah, but I could put a short barrel on it. And then make it, a compact AK. So maybe it'll be like 8 weapons, but different variations on those weapons too as well. So
and then
multiple. I'll put it, give me 3 lasers on 1 gun, so deal.
But that's it, man. Right. You're gonna have people go, hey, there's only 8 weapons. There's this many in Tarkov. Wait, there's only one big map. Tarkov has this many different maps, and you're gonna see people, hey, there's not enough POIs, or there's only 150 missions. Tarkov has 202. Like it's just
exactly. And Tarkov released with 2 maps. Like, shut up. Like,
but that's what's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, unfortunately. But again, if they reinforce, like, hey, this is where we're starting. This is where our plan. That's
what they need to do as well.
Yeah, they really need to. They really need to do
good foundation.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's hit one of these.
Wait, hold on. Do it again. Hang on. I gotta do it right.
Are you gonna talk about Deadside in that thing?
Wait, hold on.
You can't hear me.
Put the mask on, and I gotta yell it in the.
He's leaving the glasses on, chat. Yeah, I didn't think that would work.
Give me a second.
I didn't think it would work. I didn't think it would work.
The nuclear reactor by Blue's house.
Are you ready to talk about Deadside, Blue? Is that what?
I would have died. I would have died if that was the case. Do they got a quick shot one more time? Quick shots!
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta, dude, if we actually have an incident, you gotta get way faster at that, man.
Wait,
Yeah.
that was so slow.
Yeah, that
Look,
was
it's been
rough.
a couple years since I've done that.
You would have failed that in the army?
I would have. Yeah, I would be doing push-ups in the gas chamber right now.
100%. You're dead. Try again.
And or dead. So, Deadside got an update, you guys. Blue, what are we talking?
Dude, it dropped out of nowhere. First of all, it was like, hey, this is going to be our next update. Stay tuned. And they're like, the next day, all right, update dropped. Like, whoa, hold up. You just said it was going to come out, and then it just dropped. So like, it was. I like the way they do that though, because it isn't like you're not waiting there for a few months later. But we knew about the sleeping bags. And the one thing I didn't know, and I knew they were working on the background a little bit because of inside sources.
Ooh.
No, not really. But we knew a little bit about the new server host as well. Well, I mean, I did, I guess, technically. But technically, we got a new server host called GG Host. And a lot of people are already seeing better, I guess, network issues. Because I know, or I guess not issues, but less network issues. Due to the original, they still have two server hosts. They have G Portal and GG Host. GG Host is the new one, and the really cool thing about GG Host, you can actually have a 1-day free trial server just to test it out for 1 day. And
That's cool.
G Portal doesn't do that. You know, of course, it's all in euros, so you know you got to convert from euros to dollars, stuff like that. But just for at least a month server, it is a little bit more expensive than G Portal. But it's 28 euros, which is about like 30 something dollars. But they have 12 gigabytes of RAM specifically for that server. Plus, it's running on M.2 NVMe SSDs between 20 to 50 slots in the server. So apparently it's been really good. I'm excited to test it out myself. And then on top of that, we have, of course, a wipe as well, too. And the new sleeping bag system, which is really cool. It's very easy to craft. You just get 10 rags, just basically cut them up, put them together, craft them. And I don't know if there's a limit to how many bags can be placed around the map.
It says you can do many, but it doesn't say how many.
It says you can do many, so I guess you could do a lot. But if you had like 6 sleeping bags in one spot, apparently within 300 meters of each other, instead of just like having to like zoom in, it'll just open up like a big list. It'll be like, all right, you have sleeping bag 1 through 6 in this 300-meter radius, which one you want to spawn at. And then once you spawn at it, you have a sleeping bag timer, which is very reminiscent of Rust. If anyone's ever played Rust and stuff like that, there is sleeping bags in that game. There is a sleeping bag timer as well too. It has the same like pop-up screen of like if you have too many in one spot, it'd be like you have, you know, 3 sleeping bags in this one spot. So it's just really cool. It's going to change up the way people play. Because instead of having to die and respawn at a city, and the city has a timer, and then when you respawn at a city, kind of just points you in a random spot that you don't know exactly where you're going to be. If you know you're going into a fight and you know, hey, I want to have a sleeping bag in this corner of the map or this corner of the city or in this bush as well, I could put it right there. And it's also because it's a green, dirty sleeping bag, so it kind of blends in with the foliage as well too. And so that's gonna change the fighting in this game pretty dramatically, actually, because instead of like team wiping someone, or you know, if you're doing solos, you kill them over and over again, you know, if you kill them twice, the second time it's going to be a little bit longer. But now that's what I wonder too, like if you have multiple sleeping bags in one spot, how many times can you spawn? Like if you had sleeping bags in one spot, I think the timer's like what, 5 minutes, I believe.
Yeah. So if you have any sleeping bags within 300 meters of each other, they will be automatically grouped together. If you respawn on one bag in the group,
but like let's say
both will get a cooldown.
Yeah. So, so if you had more than one, and you spawn on that one group, all 3 of them would have a cooldown.
Yep, they all get the cooldown, so you can't like spawn in the same spot over and over,
which is good. But then I'll just like travel around and just start placing sleeping bags in different spots around, like Kamensk, for instance. You know, I'll just go on the north side, the south side, east side, west side. I'll put 2 in one spot, 2 in another, you know, especially because it's only 10 rags and you can kind of just tear clothes up pretty fast. So we'll see how this works out in, you know, just balancing wise. But on top of that, of course, they added a bunch of different like little animations as well too, including an explosive charge throwing animation, which is really cool. So now the little IED timer that you use a cell phone with, you can actually throw it now instead of having to like place it like if you were building something. So it's again very reminiscent of Rust, where you can just take the C4 and throw it at a door. Now you can take the C4 and throw it at a wall, throw it at a door, throw it at, you know, whatever. So
Dang.
it's becoming a lot more intense for PvP scenarios, which is kind of what this game was a little bit lacking on. I think the PvP was kind of stale for a while. Some people, you know, are still having issues with the PvE aspect of the AI, you know, getting pretty crazy shots sometimes. I have been playing this game for a while. I haven't played it in a long time, but I know for sure there's ways to kind of cheat the AI. You can kind of funnel them, you can kind of farm them a little bit. So there are ways to do that. But if you're just running out in the open, you're gonna get shot at through a Mosin. Like, it's gonna happen. So it's just the way it is, I guess. But they've also added different areas of engagement, the little sites, campsites. They added more caves. They added I know it's been a while since you've been on as well too. I don't know, Buff, have you ever played?
I haven't. No, I watched gameplay though.
Got it. I know Crash has played it, and I know he loves the hunting in it, duck hunting. They got deer now. They got fishing. You know, they got these new cave fish now, which apparently sells for like 5,000 rubles, I guess, or money, whatever it is in the game. They also have electric fish. So I don't know if it's like electric eels or something like that. So, I mean, I'm very curious to see how that works out if you get like shocked by one or something like that. But they really just went out and just did a lot of corrections, ads, fixes, fixing like the wolf pelts getting sold for more money. There's just a lot more that's been added to this game. Now, of course, people are still waiting for the vehicles, which they did mention and I have to kind of probably bring it up in another video of some sort, but they did bring it up in their last one. They're working on 2 vehicles right now. One of them is a car, is like a 4-door transport. And the other one, they said, is on the 2-wheel basis. They didn't say exactly what it was. So we don't know if it's a bike, a moped, a dirt bike. We don't know what it is, but they did say it has 2 wheels. So they're working on 2 vehicles for the ground vehicles. Right now, though, they're working on the server optimization. They're trying to make sure that the vehicles work properly, because it's a lot, server network and stuff like that. So things that are just way out of my control and stuff like that. But they did say, for the netcode optimization, they're working on it. I know they worked on it for a long time for the boats, and they delayed the boats a few times, like 3 times, I believe. So
yeah,
we'll see when they actually mention it. I think that's why they haven't put a date to the ground vehicles yet, because they want to just wait until it's actually ready, which I applaud them for. So again, this is really cool to see that. It's very interesting to see the second vehicle, because it's going to be a 2-wheel vehicle. It'd be hilarious seeing people on bicycles just like riding around Deadside, just ching ching, a little bell or something like that. But yeah, nice. There's a lot coming to Deadside, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. All right, man.
So stay tuned.
Is that a show?
Yeah, have you got something else? I think that's yeah.
Think so.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Cool, man. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being here and chatting. Everybody in chat itself, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Those of you that download it, appreciate you a lot as well. If you want to support the show, be a friend, tell a friend, share it around with other folks, grow our little community so we can get some other guests and stuff on here. And yeah, man, I enjoy it. I appreciate everybody. I'm thankful for the slow, steady growth that we've always received since we started. And yeah, it's just awesome, man. It's fun to get together and talk about everything going on in life and in the FPS world. And yeah, also, I do want to say, I forget to say this every week, but if you guys do have any recommendations or news stories or stuff you want us to talk about, you can drop them in my Discord in the Scope channel or comment anywhere on here, wherever you're watching or listening, and we'll try to check it out. And we'd love some ideas and want to keep improving the show. So I think that's all I had. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Buff, Blue, appreciate you, men, and see you on the next one.
Later, guys.
Peace.